Hello everybody, Josh12 back here again with another video, and I'm here with another Flash review. Yes, I'm here to give you my official review for the Flash Season 2, Episode 13, titled, Welcome to Earth-2. Now, of course, if you haven't seen this episode, please go check it out because this review may contain spoilers. But that being said and done, let's get into this newest episode of CW's The Flash. Now, first things first, I didn't review last week's episode of The Flash. You're probably, if you are a viewer of my channel and consistently watch my Flash and Arrow reviews, and probably wondering, why didn't I review last week's episode? Was it because I hated it, or was I too busy? Was I out of town or something? Really, realistically, the main reason as to why I did not review Flash or Arrow last week was because at the time of the premieres of said episodes, and when I usually post my reviews for said episodes, my dog had passed away. It was a very unfortunate, depressing period of time last week, especially the way he died. So I just felt like, out of respect out of the dog, I was going to spend time with, taking care of that problem, and I wasn't really going to pay any attention to my YouTube channel, which is why, in general, I didn't really post that many videos last week. But that being said and done, that was the main reason. But now I'm back with another Flash review, and this review, and if I had to touch upon my personal thoughts of last week's episode of The Flash, it was alright. It was really cheesy. It was basically super uber cheese. It was just the cheesiest episode thus far of the season, which really sucks. But yeah, it was just a lackluster episode. This episode, however, was freaking awesome. Especially the last, I want to say 10 minutes of the episode was so freaking great. Of course, spoilers if you have not seen the episode, but of course the ending sequence of last week's episode, but essentially considering that Team Flash has now realized that they can't completely trust Harrison Wells from Earth-2 anymore, that why not just, cut the middleman and just go directly to Earth-2 to rescue Jesse and, of course, take down the Zoom possibly, and then just return back home and pretty much be done with the whole situation, which seems realistically like the best bet, considering, all they've done this season is pretty much waste time with taking care of the Zoom threat, but it is what it is. And this episode is pretty much them going into Earth-2, discovering everything, how everything kind of works, and pretty much having a major confrontation with their doppelgangers. And it was pretty interesting. I personally, I wasn't big on the 1940s aesthetic that they were trying to go for. I understand what the CW and the writers of The Flash were going for. They wanted to go for a very golden age, 1940s, Justice Society-esque style with Earth-2, but it didn't really feel right, vibe right, if you will, no pun intended, but it just didn't feel right to me, because whenever the doppelgangers went over and transitioned to Earth-1, they felt like they understood and pretty much felt at home with said Earth. But in Earth-2, it's so alien and out of time and place. In comparison to Earth-1, it just doesn't feel right that they would be so different but similar at the same time. I don't know. I felt like they were trying to go way too Tomorrowland-ish, if that makes any sense. And I feel like just because it's a second Earth, or an alternate universe, if you will, it doesn't mean they technically have to be at a specific time period or have an aesthetic to a specific time period. I just feel like it's a waste of time. But I understand why they did it. They wanted to go for a golden age, Justice Society kind of style. Not to mention, this is like CW's chance to really get a nostalgic, period piece episode out there, because they're doing that for Legends of Tomorrow. They just finished off doing the 70s, now they're going down to the 60s, and so on and so forth. So I'm sure they're trying to get some of that flavor over to the Flash universe, and that's cool, and I'm all, I'm stoked for that. But for me personally, it's going to take some time for me to get used to that setting, especially considering that there are certain characters that are like way too 1940s, and then there's other characters that feel like they just don't fit that specific world that they're trying to establish. That's just my overall problem. But everybody else who's acting in said universe, I think, are great. I mean, like, Iris is killing it. I mean, in general, Iris, the character of Iris, no matter what Earth she's in, she's freaking phenomenal. Joe, I thought, was pretty hilarious. all the other characters. It's kind of ironic, and I'm pretty sure a lot of people are going to start their speculations of to who's this and who's that and where's this fit into that Earth. But essentially, everyone who's in Earth-1, who's a good guy, specifically a part of Team Flash, seems to be a bad guy in Earth-2, which is hilarious. Caitlin Snow, Killer Frost. You have Ronnie, who's Firestorm, is over here Deathstorm. And you have, freaking Cisco, who's Vibe, who's Reverb, and, he's a bad guy and what have you. And all these other various things, like the Commissioner of Central PD is a bad guy. Joe's not even an officer, he's a freaking singer. And, Deadshot is here. No, not Will Smith, the other Deadshot that CW's not allowed to use, which is probably the main reason as to why he's in this episode in general, is a good guy who's a terrible shot, ironically enough. So it's really cool to see the differences of how the characters in Earth-1 are from Earth-2. It's really cool. I think it's kind of a little too ironic that they made everyone who's a good guy over here is a bad guy over here. I feel like they should have done something a little bit more smarter, but overall I can see why they want to do it. I mean, like, actors who portray superheroes or particularly good guys, they always, if you ask them, and I'm pretty sure majority of them will say it, but they really want to play bad guys. And the fact that majority of all the actors and actresses who play good guys on Flash got to play a bad guy for an episode, kudos for that. Although it was very cheesy-rific, I will say that. I mean, Caitlin Snow as Killer Frost, even though it was super hyped, and I fucking loved every moment of it, and it was definitely something that I've been, having my fingers crossed ever since the, finale of last season. It was very cheesy. I was hoping a little bit more sexy, a little bit more, crazy, but she was just very cheesy. We got Robbie Amell back for, a one-off fucking episode, which sucks in and of itself, but he got to play bad guy, and that's cool, I guess. Although, I really feel like it was a missed opportunity on the way they portrayed Deathstorm. I mean, just, keep in mind, Legends of Tomorrow has been killing it with the way their aesthetic has been looking. Just the overall style of their show is awesome in comparison to Flash and Arrow. And I just feel like if you can make Firestorm look incredibly comic booky and badass in Legends of Tomorrow, why can't you make Deathstorm look super badass and gothic looking in freaking Flash? I ask of you, why is that not possible? But it is what it is. I'm pretty sure they probably didn't have any money, and they were like, Robbie Amell, put him in a black suit and he'll look badass. Whatever, it's Robbie Amell, whatever. So it is what it is. I get it, but I just feel like it's a missed opportunity on the Deathstorm character, considering he's super badass looking in the comic books. He's basically, just an overpowered Ghost Rider blue guy who freaking kills and there's a lot of crazy shit when it comes to Deathstorm, but it was really cool. And also, the great thing about this episode was the Easter eggs. There's so many really cool referencing and little tiny things, like there's the Deadshot thing, and we got to see a little glimpse of parallel universes, multiverse kind of stuff. I don't want to get too deep into this stuff, but I'm pretty sure you know what I'm talking about. Yes, we got to see freaking Supergirl footage drop. Yes, we got to see it. Spoilers, of course, but at the end of the day, we already knew. I mean, come on, we already heard the news that, Greg Berlanti, the Kevin Feige of the freaking, DC TV universe, was definitely working on getting these two shows to cross with one another. And we finally got it. We got Supergirl, a little bit of footage of, freaking Kara flying, and we got to see it in this episode, and it was cool. I don't know how they're going to establish it in this, continuity. It's going to be I just hope they do it in a very smart way. I don't want it to be cheesy and stupid, so hopefully they can make sense out of, this Supergirl, and of all her baggage, like the Martian Manhunter and Superman stuff, can fit in the world of the Flash, where there's an Arrow and freaking Legends of Tomorrow and freaking, what have you, Earth-2 and what have you. So I really hope they can make and create a great story that fits into these two universes coming together. But it was just really cool to see that. And there was also really tight, get to see Oliver Queen possibly. Is that future Oliver Queen? Who knows? We got to see another version of the Flash. Is that future Flash, or is that Is that freaking Flash from the 90s? I don't know. It kind of looked like it. There's just so many really cool little tiny nuggets of awesomeness. If you're like a comic, like a hardcore nerd, and you're just like really into nitpicking little things and being like, oh, I saw that. Oh, I know where that's from. Oh, Justice Society. Yeah, Justice Society. Like, this episode is definitely for you, and it's really awesome. And also, if there's another thing to take away that was really epic and awesome, two things. Number one, Vibe and Earth-2. Come on, Cisco and Earth-2. When I first saw him, I was like, oh, this is cheesy and stupid. But when he comes out of the shadows, I felt like there's a part of me who really loved DC in a specific time period, got to relive that kind of fandom again. Like, that dude, Cisco, the way he looks in Earth-2, the second he gets out of the shadows and you see him for the first time with the goggles and all that kind of the crazy, wacky outfit, I felt like this dude is ready to fucking start breakdancing and start fucking, you know, hanging out in Detroit. Like, I felt like this is Vibe from what I remember from way back in the day. This is freaking cool. I mean, granted, it's not like full-on 80s or 90s or whatever the fuck, but it was still pretty cool to see that version of Vibe and actually see him use some powers and stuff. Really awesome. And of course, the second thing, Zoom. We got to see Zoom again, kick some ass. He pretty much killed, he basically Game of Thrones everybody, which was awesome. I mean, like, once again, Zoom, I want him to be the main, I'm sick of these one-off, you know, stupid, you know, villain of the week kind of fucking dudes. I want to see just Zoom fuck shit up every week, because the way he's introduced and used throughout this episode, even last week, which I consider to be a very lackluster episode and very disappointing, even the little tiny nugget of time period, screen time he has is just awesome. And the whole time he's in this episode, he's just effing up every single person and just straight up hijacks and bitch slaps freaking Barry and just says, you can't keep promises you can't, why make promises you can't keep? Fuck you, bitch. I'm Zoom. I'm the fastest man alive. It's so freaking awesome. I'm stoked. This episode was great. I loved it. Final verdict for the episode is a solid, oh god, an 8.5 out of 10. It was freaking awesome. I really enjoyed it. There was definitely some very cheesy, horrific stuff, like the central, you know, police department, you know, scenario was very cheesy. The freaking Iris Berry stuff was cheesy. The Killer Frost was not as hyped as I feel like there was a lot of hype, but there wasn't a lot of, like, it's just seeing good people that you know who are really good play bad guys for a day. I don't know, it just didn't really mix well with me. Maybe I have to watch the episode a couple more times to really get into the performance, but I don't know. I felt it was very cheesy and just very lackluster for me when it comes to, you know, Ronnie as, you know, freaking Deathstorm and, you know, Caitlin as freaking Killer Frost. And also, on top of that, another real great piece of awesomeness that I loved in this episode, Barry's conversation with his mother. I mean, like, as a person who also lost his mother, like, to really have that moment to just talk to her again like, on the phone, even through the phone, like, I felt like I wanted to cry for a minute. I didn't cry like I did with the finale episode, but that moment was just, it was very powerful, and I love that. That was, hands down, besides the Zoom and the Vibe stuff, my favorite, you know, part of this episode. It was that, the mother phone calls scene, and of course Zoom and Cisco. Everything else was very cool and fun, a little too cheesy at times, but those were like the main three things, and I can't wait to see more episodes of, you know, their freaking adventures in Earth-2, and wow, Earth-2 is crazy. It's a little too Tomorrowland, you know, freaking 1940s, golden agey to me, but I can feel like if, once we get more episodes in, we can I definitely can see myself getting used to it. But overall, my final verdict is the 8.5 out of 10. Let me know what you personally think in the comment section below. Did you love, hate this episode? Let me know. And of course, let me know your personal thoughts on all the little tidbits of Easter eggs and name drops and references that I may not have mentioned that you caught. Let me know in the comment section below. And of course, let me know your personal thoughts on the performances over the actors portraying bad guys for a day. And of course, your personal thoughts on the Flash Supergirl crossover that's inevitably coming. I'm personally stoked. All I can hope for is that it's done smart, and it's creative, and it's awesome, and not stupid and cheesy. That's all I'm hoping for. But let me know what you personally think. Shameless plug time. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Jonch12. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so already. And I hope you guys enjoyed. And this has been Jonch12.